You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access, a little Good Morning Lambeau edition. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us 865-658-5824. Gentlemen, are we awake, Tim? That's what I'm...
Good morning.
We got back from Knoxville kind of late last night, and I'm getting old, boys. That's not a long drive. That's not a long drive at all. I woke up this morning, felt hungover from just driving 4 hours. You know what I mean? But anyway, Jacob, how you doing, man?
I'm all right. I got to go to work today for the whole day, but I feel good. It's a nice day out, so yeah.
There you go. A lot to be thankful for, that's for sure. And probably the last time I'll say this, but I just want to thank everybody for reaching out, all the thoughts and prayers. Brother's doing good. He's officially out of ICU into his own room. Catheter has been removed off the IV drip. We're good to go. So he's now just got to get that strength back. So really appreciate everybody reaching out. You guys and gals have been absolutely awesome in that regard. So speaking of awesome, absolutely. But Jacob, you sent me an article this morning from MSN, and pretty cool, man. You want to go ahead and break the news for him here as far as what Mark Murphy had to say?
Yeah, they were just basically announcing that the team president and CEO, Mr. Mark Murphy, announced the date on which the Green Bay Packers training camp will officially start. It'll be July 22nd. And per Mr. Mark, he says rookies and select players, in quotation marks, so we can talk about maybe what that means, will report to Green Bay on July 17th, with the veterans reporting the day before camp starts, July 21st. And then it goes on to say, assume that the select players who are going to be asked to show up to the Packers facilities early are the same ones who were present for rookie minicamp.
There you go. Good stuff, man. We are just about there. It's now June the 2nd, right? So just right around the corner, we'll be looking up and going, all right, guys, 30 days till training camp. So it is. It's coming like a freight train, man. I'm excited about it. I've got some other stuff if we have time where Mark Murphy answered a couple questions from fans, and it got a little chippy again. You guys know Murphy, what I appreciate about Mark Murphy is he doesn't shy away from the criticism. You know, it'd be real easy to just bury those emails. Instead, he's like, you know what, let's go ahead. I've got the time today. Let's hit this one. I love it. So we may get into that. But the big thing I wanted to get into today, and we wanted to change up a touch. We may do a college football podcast mid-afternoon, and we'll definitely do another PTA live this evening. If no news breaks, then we'll jump into the Week 10 matchup and kind of recap that as we continue that series on. But the big thing I wanted to hit on were, you know, some of these Georgia players. And Packers.com released just a quick video. It's less than a minute long. I want to check it out real quick. We got some dogs in the house over there at 1265 Lombardi. And we've talked about it extensively on this show, how sometimes GMs, as long as it lines up with the draft board, let's say you've got 3 players sitting on your draft board in the current top tier of talent, and you look up and go, okay, they've all got the same grade. Hey, look, here's a Georgia Bulldog. Or in the past, it might have been, here's a Kentucky Wildcat, or here's a Notre Dame Fighting Irish, or here's a Wisconsin, whatever it is. If you've got to decide just a small group of people, small group of players, and you've already got a good chunk of players that played at that alma mater, it makes a lot of sense to go, you know what, let's bring them in, man. They played together. They've got a common ground, a common interest, if you will, ties to that specific school. So in this case, Goody's definitely been doing some mining down there in Georgia. So let's go ahead and hit this video real quick, and we'll talk about how these guys have played here at the next level.
I remember coming in here, I was the only UGA person, and now I look around, I got 3 other dogs here. Man, I love it. It's just like a real deal brotherhood building on the defense end. Now I got pretty much one person on each level. I got somebody on the D-line, I got somebody at linebacker, and I got me at corner, and now I got somebody behind. I love Bull. I know what type of person he is. I know he's a dog, he's a savage, even a calm, and he's knocking heads off, so I can't wait to be out there with him.
We go way back, man. I went to school with those guys, and now everything coming full circle for us. Similar situation, a similar organization of how things need to be ran. Happy to be here with those guys. Those guys are a tremendous amount of help for me. It's amazing. We might as well keep adding dogs to Green Bay.
I love it, man. Might as well keep adding dogs to Green Bay. So obviously you got Eric Stokes in the house. You've got Quay Walker. You've got Devontae Wyatt. Now you add Javon Bullard. So what I wanted to do, it's no secret these guys have had some ups and downs, right? And we've highlighted the good, we've highlighted the bad. Quay Walker's rookie year, it was like, okay, we may have something there. That dude looks like a beast. Last year, I feel like he took a slight step back, but I wanted to kind of hit pause because as we're watching last year's games and we go back and recap them, like I said, we're now in week 10. You're starting to see some stuff pop up, like Quay Walker missing tackles. We've seen that, right? One thing you haven't seen, other than the pick 6 in week 1, are a lot of highlights of him getting burned in the passing game. And there's a reason for that. I feel like it's one of his strengths. Now, maybe Jeff Hafley will look at that on tape and go, hey, that's what that guy does well, right? And then try to put him in that position to succeed. So rather than have him be more, I don't want to say more involved, but lean on him more in the run fit, they may try to key it up for him to kind of cover in pass coverage. So let's start with Devontae Wyatt real quick. Devontae Wyatt's pressure percentage, I pulled it from last year. All right. This is according to SIS. If you look at the pressure percentage column there, this is just D tackles for the NFL in 2023. Now, notice the number 1 there, Agam, I think is how you say his name for the Colts. He only had 6 pass snaps. So you kind of throw that out, right? So number 2 is Chris Jones for the Chiefs at 15.7%. Look who number 3 is, guys. Devontae Wyatt.
He's not getting Chris Jones money either.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head there, Tim. Now, again, this is what he does well. There's going to be some people, yeah, but how does he play against the run? Guys, believe me, I have complained more than anyone about Devontae Wyatt's run defense. But this pressure percentage amongst defensive tackles in the NFL, this is impressive. You're talking about potentially the best pass rushing defensive tackle in the entire league. And again, this is for the 2023 season. So this is the most recent, look at him. So just go around the horn with that real quick. We'll start with you, Jacob. What do you think, man? Pressure percentage here with Devontae Wyatt. Did we, we were looking at it going into the draft, like probably need a D tackle because the run defense is so bad. It kind of feels like they're trying to fix the run defense with scheme, and they're just going to let Devontae Wyatt eat.
I mean, it's even more impressive when you throw out some of the anomalies like the McLovin, Gim, and the Ty McGill or whatever. They've only got between the two of them maybe 29 pass snaps at all. So take those 2 out, and then it's Chris Jones, Devontae Wyatt, Quinnen Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Aaron Donald, Christian Wilkins. I mean, Justin Matabuke. I mean, that's the top of the top right there in the whole NFL. And I'd argue that, you look at the amount of snaps that Wyatt had, it's slightly less than those guys, but his percentage it's 99.7. You don't really get that much higher. So that's almost elite right there.
Yeah, no doubt. The big thing, too, look at Jalen Carter down there. We know he stepped in the league and just he played lights out his first year in the league. So 2023, I mean, his is at 11%. Some people see him as a premier, just well-rounded defensive tackle, and Devontae Wyatt killed his numbers, man.
He also has like the 4th or 5th highest sack percentage, too. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, that's a good point. Devontae Wyatt's sack percentage is 2.1%. So, yeah, amongst those players there, he would have the fourth highest sack percentage and within the top 14 there of pressure percentage. So, Tim, this is good news, man. We may have our guy here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and you look at this list, he's in pretty elite company here as far as defensive tackles go. DeForest Buckner from the Colts, that's a guy that's been doing it for a while. And, Devontae's just crushing his numbers. So I think this is good. And it's like you always say, Clayton, I mean, the sack percentage is good. The rush percentage is good. But that pressure rate is everything. I'll take the pressures over sacks, actually, personally. Pressure, pick, coverage, sack. We talk about that all the time.
Yep.
And, we got guys like this up front, man, combined with, what we're doing with that secondary. I smell a top 5 defense in the National Football League coming, guys. I really do. I know it's early, but that's the vibe I'm getting already. So a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, for sure. If they take a huge step forward like some are projecting them to do. Now, we also got to take into consideration that there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, right? So there may be a little step back there as these guys learn this new defense. But all the changes that were made were designed to allow these guys to play fast. And I think that's really the goal here. So if it allows Devontae Wyatt to play even faster and play the run on the way to the quarterback rather than two gap, okay, it's not a run, let's get after the quarterback. Those numbers are they're liable to increase, man. We never know. So it's going to be exciting to see that kind of all unfold. Now, the other thing, let's move on to Eric Stokes real quick. Now, you guys know Eric Stokes. I feel like he's underperformed for a first-round pick. I think the Packers agreed, seeing they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Okay, so it doesn't mean they're not going to re-sign him. They may love him, just as much and say, hey, we want him on a long-term deal. I don't think that's the case unless it's a really, really good value deal that the Packers could potentially get. But when we pull up Stokes' numbers from 2023, Eric Stokes was 193rd amongst cornerbacks when it comes to passer rating when targeted. Now, it's important to understand very, very, very small sample size here, okay? I think he was targeted 7 times, if I looked at that correctly. So that's 2023 alone. So if we were to hop back and just go, okay, let's go 2021 through 2023 and go passer rating when targeted, Eric Stokes is actually 41st in the NFL. So that rookie year, solid. Second year, not as good. Last year, minimal snaps, but I feel like he's regressed every year, to be honest with you. So if we can get the best Stokes, which is kind of what Matt LaFleur has been talking about, that this is the best he's ever seen Stokes look. If he comes in and plays at this level here, you've got a true number 2 corner. And what I mean by that, in my opinion, as a cornerback, the most important statistic is passer rating when targeted. Okay. That's essentially showing how much success a quarterback has had when he targets your receiver. Okay. And Eric Stokes coming in 41st, there's only 32 teams in the league. So obviously the top 32, I would consider those are number 1 caliber corners. The fact that he's coming in 41st here kind of tells you, okay, he is a solid, he's like a top 10 number 2 corner. I know that sounds kind of hard to follow, a top 10 number 2 corner. But as a number 2 corner, he's putting up top 10 numbers over the course of 2021, 2022, and 2023 with a passer rating when targeted of 64.4. So, Tim, this gives me a little bit of hope that in conjunction with the coaches reacting to, hey, here's how he looks, this may be the best year for Stokes yet, man.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. Like I was saying a couple days ago, that's a good problem to have, right? We just have a, flooded talent pool in the cornerback room. It's going to help us. And like you're saying, being in that, the top tier of the number 2 guys kind of way of looking at it, what it means is depth. It's depth on your football team. It's depth with a lot of young players. Let's be honest, Stokes is still, young in the grand scheme of things, but he's not a rookie anymore. He's a young player coming off of some major injury issues, which I believe contributed directly to his inconsistency. It's difficult to play at a high level when you're not able to get out there every week with some consistency and get your work in. He was limited, then he was not limited, then he got a start in there, and then he regressed. He tweaked something. Things like that happen. It's not an excuse, but it certainly doesn't help a guy that's trying to build consistency and get better as a pro. So I think this year coming into camp, as healthy as he's been in the last 2 years, is really going to give him a chance to kind of, hit the ground running this year and put together a solid season. But, if you know anything about Eric Stokes Jr., he's a great teammate. And so even if it's not there for him, if he can contribute, he's just looking to contribute. If he's got to be number 2 on the depth chart, if he's number 3 on the depth chart, coming in as a supporting role, whatever it may be, you're not going to get an attitude from him. He'll take whatever snaps he's going to get and do what he can to help this football team win. And, that's a major attribute that you look for, especially in a younger guy. So, and really, like we said, man, it's just about tracking that ball when you're in coverage. I'm sure he's going to be working on that and has been working on that. And it'll be really interesting to see how this season shapes up for Stokes, because I do feel like it's, I'm not going to say a make or break year for him, but it's a pivotal year in his career, just period, as an athlete. So hoping for the best for him.
Yeah. Another thing too is like, some may say, okay, we overpaid as far as draft compensation. Like, okay, you spent a first round pick on him, but you're definitely not overpaying salary cap cut. Like, he is pennies on the dollars compared to most corners in the league, even though he was a first round pick. But Jacob, what do you think about Stokes, man? Are you optimistic? How do you feel about Stokes going into the 2024 season here? Because you guys know I've been very critical. I feel like he struggles tracking the ball for a man covered corner, but I definitely trust the coach's eyes over my own. I'm an idiot over here. What do you think, Jacob? Not about me being an idiot. What do you think about Eric Stokes?
I'm hopeful as all heck this year. He seems more confident in himself. The coaches seem more confident in him. Like Tim talked about, I think this is actually a make or break year for him personally, just because he's been through so much up and down, some really bad injuries, and we did have high hopes for him. I always forget that he's a first-round draft pick, and
right.
he's one of those many first-round draft picks on the defense that really need to show us why we spent such a high-valued pick on him. So with that being said, I really do think that he has the potential. And plus, we've talked about the competition at that in that room specifically. He doesn't have a chance to kind of lollygag. He won't be able to just be in that position for half the year. We'll be replacing him if he's not performing.
Yeah, for sure. We got Josh Van Anningham. I'm trying to remember how his name was. Anyway, Josh Vam in here. I know who it is, though. I recognize the name. He said, "Good morning, PTA. First time on Rumble. What happened to YouTube?" Chris went on to explain that they're in timeout on YouTube. I love that. They put us in timeout. They said, "You go stand in the corner and you don't talk about anything." So, that's why we're here, man. We'll be back on YouTube here in a couple of days. But I'll tell you, the way Rumble's going, we'll stay on YouTube. And you can always find us on here. I've got some people going, "Man, you haven't went live in 4 days." We're going live every day, bro. We're over here on Twitter, obviously. So I appreciate you. So, all right, let's do this. Let's now go over to Clay Walker. This was kind of cool. When I was talking about, I feel like he's a better pass defending stack backer rather than a run fit guy. Now, listen, you got to be able to do both. There's no scheme in which a stack backer isn't prioritizing the run fit. Please don't misunderstand that. But we just want to kind of find players' strengths. When you look at Quay Walker, through 2022 and 2023 combined, obviously the 2 years he's been in the league, his passer rating when targeted is 56.3. That's 23rd best amongst linebackers in the National Football League. And you can see it's not a small sample size either. You know what I mean? Like, he's had a lot of coverage snaps. I think it was 388 coverage snaps. He's been targeted, I think, 18 times, 56.3. You remember the pick six we watched in the week one win over Chicago there. Anytime we're going back through and rewatching the tape and rewatching highlights from the year before, and you don't see a whole lot of a player in pass defense, it's usually a good thing. It's kind of like special teams, Tim. If someone is getting called out on special teams on kick return or kick coverage, probably made a boo-boo, right? That's what Deion Sanders used to say on NFL Network all the time. It's either a big play or a boo-boo. That's why they're showing the special team play. So it's kind of the same thing in pass coverage for a stack backer. If you don't hear his name a lot, it means he's probably doing his job. Either that, or if you do hear his name, he's picking the ball off. So with Quay Walker, man, those numbers, pretty solid, man. I would love to see them try to gear this 4-3 scheme, and more specifically the nickel approach of Jeff Hafley to trying to put him in a position to be in pass coverage more so than being aggressive in the run fit. What do you think, man?
I just feel like overall as a whole, Quay is going to thrive in this system. You know, Coach Haff has spoken on several occasions about, you know, wanting his guys to play free and fast and not be worried about making a mistake. You know, if there's a mistake out there or there's an issue with play call or scheme on a particular snap, you know, Coach Haff is willing to take the heat for his players and just let the guys go out there and play the game. And Quay Walker especially, I think, is going to thrive in this. And I agree with your sentiment that, you know, we can utilize him in some of these coverage situations because of his athleticism. You know, when we think of Quay, we think of those Georgia highlights of him, you know, flying through and sacking the quarterback and, you know, getting the pressures and things like that. I think he is a good coverage backer, and I think that's going to help us in this new defense. So, you know, we have depth now in the middle linebacker room. I really believe that. So it'll take some of the pressure off of Quay. You know, I think the last couple of years he's kind of had to really shoulder a lot of that responsibility in the middle himself. So I think he's got some help now, and I think with a new scheme, I think Quay's going to thrive here in year 3. I'm excited.
What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
The world's most exciting podcast, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, New York Times best-selling author and National Radio Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Savage.
I'm Michael Savage, host of the Savage Nation podcast, home of borders, language, and culture. Hear my new podcast each week as I speak with top guests from around the world. Right now, we have over 700 shows in our library featuring interviews with world leaders, scientists, faith teachers, and more, including President Donald Trump, Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, Edward Teller, the father of the hydrogen bomb, Jerry Falwell, and so much more conversations and commentary you cannot find anywhere else. Other guests have included Samuel Cohen, the father of the neutron bomb, Breitbart's Alex Marlowe, the great author Peter Schweitzer, Colonel Douglas McGregor. Be here or be nowhere. The Savage Nation Podcast.
Catch the Michael Savage Podcast on all podcast platforms every Tuesday and every Friday.
Yeah, and what we mean by kind of drawing plays up to where he can be in the coverage is it's not necessarily like a specific assignment for him, but with him going in coaching, it's obvious that he's comfortable in pass coverage. I mean, the numbers reflect that. And if he's struggling in the run fit, guess what you key in on during training camp with Quay Walker? Guess what you key in on the whole offseason program? Is, all right, man, let's get you really comfortable against the run. So moving on to Quay's missed tackle plus broken tackle percentage, if you were to include 2022 and 2023, he drops to 38th at 7%. Okay, that's a combination of missed tackles plus broken tackle percentage as far as his attempts. Now that 2.4 that you see to the right is the average depth of the tackle. Now you can see it would be in the bottom half of this list here, but closer to the middle than the bottom for sure. But him dropping to 38th in that category, this is what we're talking about, Jacob. He seems to play pretty well in pass coverage and just struggles just a touch. But here's the cool thing. 38th isn't horrible, right? That's a solid number 2 stack backer in the league, right? So I think it's important to kind of note that it's in the top 10 of that number 2 linebacker, whether it's playing Will or Mike. Hopefully, what we've seen with some of the highlights too, as you guys can see, it's pretty interchangeable when you talk about Will and Mike. This is no longer 1996, where a true Mike is that just sole gap destroyer, sideline to sideline. Sometimes you want to put the Mike in an advantageous situation to cover a specific tight end, or you can maybe take a slant away on a little spot, drop off the slot, things like that. But Jacob, what do you think about these numbers, man? Do you feel like this is what you've seen last year, or is this kind of catching you surprised with Quay Walker obviously kind of coming in at 23 spot the last 2 years of pass coverage and your broken tackle percentage there?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of all seen it on tape, right? And it's tough to really give him a lot of criticism because we don't know exactly what Joe Barry was asking him to do. We definitely saw flashes, I think, earlier in his career as to what he could be. But I think, like you talked about, he is really good at pass coverage. So in this off season, like you said, let's hammer the fact that we either work on him really being a shutdown against the run, or maybe we plug somebody in like either Wilson or McDuffie or Cooper, who hopefully would maybe take on that role a little better so we could, like you said, maybe focus Quay's talents elsewhere. But I think that definitely he's going to take a step, just the fact that he's playing with a bunch of guys he feels more comfortable with. And I think Hafley's going to figure out a way to use the guys in the puzzle pieces and in the areas that are going to most benefit them and their play style. And I think that that's going to benefit Quay super, super a lot.
Yeah, completely agree, man. Really exciting. So the newest one I know you're going to get very excited about, Jacob. Obviously, we just added another Georgia Bulldog, and that's Mr. Javon Bullard. So what I did was I went to SIS and pulled the college football data. Check this out, guys. And I'm going to give you 2 different statistics I want you to key in on. This is sorted by completion percentage when targeted. All right. Javon Bullard at Georgia had 314 coverage snaps in 2023. His targets, he was targeted 20 times. The completion percentage was 4th best amongst FBS schools, that top 134 schools. Actually, it's showing South Alabama there. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think South Alabama, with that number 1 guy, I don't think they're FBS. Maybe they are now. There's been so much shuffling that's gone on. But if that is FCS, then that includes even FCS, kind of the 2A schools. For those of you grandpas out there like old Papaw Bailey here, we still call it Division I and Division II. But pretty cool, man. He's coming in the number 4 spot there at 30% completion percentage. Now, if you slide all the way to the far right, there's a chance this could be an error, but there's also a chance it could be real because he had some interceptions as well that drives down the passer rating when targeted. His passer rating when targeted listed here is 0.0. I mean, that's pretty wild. Deserved catch percentage, 43.8%. Again, completion percentage, 30%, 4th best in all of college football. I think, like I said, we've got our safety / hybrid nickel, that slot corner. We could put in that spot if for some reason Keyshawn does get banged up. But what I want to see is Jeff Hafley being able to just completely turn Javon Bullard loose in that safety spot opposite of
Thick.
Exactly. Opposite of Xavier McKinney. I think this dude may eat. We'll start with you this time, Jacob. This is your dude, man. You called it all off season long when we were going through the draft process. This was your draft crush, and we got him, man. What do you think?
I mean, I'm over the moon, and every time I hear him do an interview, it just makes me like him even more. He just seems like he's a young kid, but I think he's 21 still, and he talks like he's a 35-year-old vet that's been through it. Like, I mean, I think he really does lift that room. And then you pair him with a guy like X and Jair and Stokes that's hungry, and younger guys like Valentine. Like, we got to take a piece of humble pie. Like, well, we don't want to sound like Chris is saying here, Bears fans are so confident in the offseason, so funny. I don't want to be that guy. But this is a different year. I have not felt this confident in the defense on every level. Like, the linebacker room I think it's just got stacked with dogs. That lineman now that we only need, that we have 4 dudes putting their hands in the dirt. I mean, that's completely intriguing with the talent we have there. And then for once in my life, the secondary, the complete secondary, you can plug and play different groups of dudes, and I'm so comfortable with it. It's weird. Usually we're used to having like, oh, if the 1 and 2, if they go down, we're screwed. And I feel like that we are stacked across the board at every position in the secondary, where if we got even, I hate saying it, but if we lost 1 or 2 guys in the rotation, I wouldn't say I'd be excited or happy or anything, but I'd be confident in the fact that they're going to come in and do their job. So
I totally agree with that statement, Jacob. That's the vibe I'm getting from Bullard, or Bull as the fellas call him. Nothing about him screams rookie. The way he carries himself, the way he looks in his preparation, the little bit of footage we've seen from OTAs. If my money's on, of all these picks from the draft class this year, if there's one player that I'm confident could step out onto that field and perform at an elite level right away as a rookie, it's definitely Javon Bullard, hands down. And it's exciting because he's 21. He's a kid, and he does not seem like the moment's too big for him. Sometimes you see the wide-eyed rookie kind of taking it all in, and it takes a while. He looks like he's all business, man. He's ready to roll. And of course, the best stat of all,
Thick.
So crucial.
I just thought about something too, because the top safeties over the last few years have kind of fallen in the draft because of their measurables and intangibles. But you looked at guys like Kyle Hamilton and Brian Branch and a few others where they weren't guys that ran fast 40s or maybe didn't have great verts or whatever. But you look at Javon Bullard, he has those measurables, those freak athletic intangibles, but I think he also has the mental capacity, because that's, I think, Hamilton and Branch were so good because they knew that their body was limited in certain skills, but they had to be smarter and take better angles, look at the ball when it's in the air, be more decisive in the run game. And you talk about a guy that maybe has that football IQ already, but then you add the fact that he's a 4'4" type dude, a guy that has just a natural build on him. He could be setting, I don't want to say anything, but that's the type of person that has the Brian Dawkins attributes, or the Charles Woodson types. You know what I mean? Those freak athletes that are just dogs.
Yeah. And you hear the coaches talk about it through the offseason program here, how intelligent he is. He's got that FBI. That was one of the things in his scouting report. Has a really good FBI. Another thing that popped to me when we did the Chalk Talk episode of Javon Bullard is how he knows which half of the body to attack on running plays, or even yak plays. If it's a quick swing pass or a smoke screen, he knows where his help is, and he attacks the right half of the body, the correct half of the body. And what I mean by that is, if you know you don't have any help on the outside, attack the outside shoulder. We showed Chalk Talk or a recap the other day on Rewind a couple games ago, where Jair Alexander made that very mistake, where he attacked the inside of the body, knowing there's no one on the outside. It gave the guy. You always want to funnel the ball carrier towards the teeth of the defense. And that's the big thing that stood out to me with Javon Bullard. Now, if we were to play devil's advocate for just a second, he's playing for the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart has that defense absolutely humming year in and year out. So he's surrounded with guys who are some of, if not the best NCAA defenders in all of college football. So you got to kind of take that into consideration too. And we all know the speed of the game changes when you get to the NFL level. But everything I've seen with Javon Bullard, Tim, I completely agree with you, man. Even more than Edgerrin Cooper, my money would be on Javon Bullard to have the biggest impact on this defense amongst rookies this year, man. I'm really fired up for it, for sure. So, so there you go. Since the Packers released that quick video, and again, go give that a like on Twitter, retweeted all that stuff on the Packers Twitter page, where they sent that little video out of all the dogs in the house there with the Georgia Bulldogs. It's really exciting for sure. So let's move along to Mark Murphy and some of these questions. All right, now I'm going to try to read at higher than a third grade level here for you guys. I hate reading on the show. Let Jacob read it. We're having a few issues with the mic, and I know he feels uncomfortable talking in the mic right now. We're going to get it straightened out though for sure. So here's the thing. Mark Murphy's got this thing. It says Murphy takes 5. And I think he takes 5 questions, and I think it's the first Wednesday of every month, maybe something like that. So This first one, man, this is the type of stuff Mark Murphy deals with on pretty much a monthly basis. I'm going to kill my cam so I can get up here with my reading glasses real quick. All right. But, and I don't have glasses, but I don't want you guys seeing me at the 3-inch level here, right up in the camera, looking like an alien or something. But so this came in from Christine. How do you say that name, Tim? That's definitely a Wisconsinite. How would you say that last name?
I would say Lutke or Lukey.
It's just Ludke.
Ludke.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Jacob to go, oh, I dated her. But this is what she said. And this, I ain't gonna lie, man, this kind of pisses me off. But
wow, the first words out of her mouth are everything right here. Tells me all I need to know about this lady.
I am sure glad you are leaving the Packers since you allowed the green package ticket holders to be screwed out of a home division game. The double talk about having to give the gold ticket holders all the home division games just because is BS. The Packers management can distribute those games any way they want. In this case, you said to heck to a 50-year green package season ticket holder. Good riddance to you and your management style. So you guys know he's talking about the green and gold package. The Milwaukee package is the gold package. The Brown County is the green package. Correct, Tim? That's how that works.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So this is how he responded. I'm glad you raised this concern, Christine, as I have heard similar comments from other green package season ticket holders. Although not quite as blunt, he put in parentheses. For years, our policy has been that the gold package will get the second and fifth home games. I guarantee you Christine didn't know that. I think the policy has served us well, and over time, it has been fair to both the gold and green ticket holders. If we started giving green ticket holders the second and fifth games, we would open ourselves up to criticism from both the gold and green ticket holders for favoritism. With the move to 17 games in 2022, we decided that we would alternate the 9th home game between the two packages, starting with the gold package. We are slotted to start the rotation of the 17th game in 2022, but that game was designated as an international game. Since we played that game in London in 2022, this is our first year to have a 9th home game, and as a result, we're starting the rotation with the gold package. The green package will get 7 games in 2026 unless we are chosen to play another international game. So this year, the gold package has 3 regular season games and no preseason game. I know that you're upset with our policy and the schedule, which is set annually by the NFL, by the way, but you do have several attractive games, including games against the NFC champion 49ers and the up-and-coming Texans. So
in other words, he basically said,
you're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
It's just amazing because they don't take into consideration everything that's involved with this. It's just, I'm mad and I'm going to rant. And here's the thing. We have lost listeners. We've lost viewers. One specific, I won't mention the name, but they got mad at us for defending the Milwaukee crowd. I've had the Milwaukee crowd get mad at us for being angry that a stadium wasn't completely sold out. Although, in my opinion, I don't think that's true now. After gathering all the facts, I probably spoke a little too soon. But that person was like, basically the Milwaukee crowd should have the ticket stripped from them. And I'm sorry, man, I'm not going to BS you and go, okay, yeah, that would be good. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. If it hadn't been for the Milwaukee crowd, the team never would have survived. And you do have people like Homer, who I have a lot of respect for. Homer. You guys watch the Homer Hour. He's been covering the Packers long before I was a Packer fan, and I respect that about him. He was very blunt. That doesn't matter what happened back then. That's the old days. BS. That's what's wrong with the country right now. It's forget what the founding fathers did. Forget what your grandmother and your grandfather did to set your family up for some success. Forget what their parents did. Let's just do what we think's right now. Screw those people. I just don't like that idea, man, because if it hadn't been for the Milwaukee crowd, Tim, this team would not have survived. I love that they're still trying to honor that and give them access to tickets.
It's true. And it's really the best way they can do it is by the way it's set up. When we lost those Milwaukee, those games, how do you account for that in those fans? And I think the gold package was certainly, the best approach, So,
Yep.
and let's not forget, guys, like I don't care if you're, from Zimbabwe. It doesn't matter. We're all Packer fans. It shouldn't matter, where you get your tickets or what type of ticket holder you are. There's a lot of people that, are going to be waiting their entire lives for season tickets and probably, never get them. So a lot of people have to go to theticketking.com and get their tickets for individual games and packages and things. And there are people that get, gold package passed down to them through generations, things like that. So, I personally don't care how you get your tickets or how many games or what games you can go to. Go to as many as you can, be as loud as you can, and cheer on the Packers. That's the most important part. It doesn't matter which market you're from.
Right. And to give you like a different perspective too, these guys and gals that own the tickets in Milwaukee, and they for whatever reason, they couldn't make the drive up for this one game or these two games. If you can't relate to that, then you must be, butt nasty rich is all I know, because everyone can relate to that. Or sometimes you can't make it to a game if you were a season ticket holder. It's not like they're going out and going, "Hey, Lions fans, y'all want to buy my tickets?" That's not how this works. They're selling their tickets to other services. And if we had enough Packer fans come in and buy those tickets, then it would be all Packer fans there. The reality is another team is willing to pay for those tickets quicker or pay more for those tickets to get access to them. I'm going to be going to the Packers-Titans games this year. Guess what we're doing? We're using a website and a service to get like 13 tickets for Packer fans to go watch the Packers play in the Titans stadium. It wouldn't be fair for them to go, "Nope, you're not a Titans fan. That seat's going to sit empty. You're not allowed to go." That's not how business operates. That's not how the teams want it to operate. That's not how fans truly want it to operate. It's just you get your rear end kicked on national television and you didn't think the crowd was loud enough, so you rant about it and make it sound as if this is a huge issue. The issue is we don't have Packer fans buying those tickets before the away teams. That's my opinion. So if there's any way that we really want to combat this from the inside out, or maybe even from the outside in, I should say, is let's all agree that, hey, if you plan on going to a game this year, let's buy those tickets up as quick as possible so other fan bases can't get them, right?
Absolutely.
The thing that does bother me, Tim, and I feel like I can say this because I'm a Packer fan at a distance. I'm located in Tennessee. Before I could afford to fly up, I would drive that 13 hours to watch Packers play, and it was well worth the drive. But the thing that bothers me about the majority of people, they get mad about the stadium isn't loud enough and these guys are selling their tickets. I love asking them, what was the last Packer game you went to?
Yeah.
Most of the time they won't answer.
Most of the time it starts with 1990.
Right. Yeah. And again, fan how you want to fan. We always say it on the show. But it bothers me that the majority of the time, the people that are complaining are the ones that don't even go to the game. It's like, it's hypocritical, Put your money where your mouth is. Put your time where your mouth is. And, hey, let's go. Why don't you invest the time to go to the game and buy those tickets up early? It's the only way we can fix this problem, right? To make sure that we protect Lambeau, is to make sure that we're trying to get all those tickets. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. I was there. I was at the game last year, the Thursday night football debacle against Detroit. So I experienced a lot of that in person. There was a lot of Detroit fans in the stadium. Okay, well, just like you said, with this game coming up down in Nashville against the Titans, we as Packer fans have just as much of an ability to go in there and take over that stadium if we wanted to. It's called being a fan in the NFL. It doesn't matter what team you are. Obviously, certain organizations, it's a little more difficult to get tickets. It's probably pretty easy to get some, New England Patriot tickets right now compared to, Packer tickets or, some of the other teams. But the point is, we all, it's called free market. You know what I mean? We can all.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510, is he declaring an emergency? There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Purchase what we want if we have the buying power. So, if you want more Packer fans in the stands at Lambeau, then, be the change you want to see in the world. Get your tickets, go to the game, and if you are a gold package holder or a season ticket holder, and something happens, someone's getting married that weekend and you can't make it to the game, then pass your tickets down to family or to a friend that is a Packer fan. And there's a lot of season ticket holders that do exactly that. I can tell you, since I moved to Green Bay, I see a lot of the Craigslist and Facebook marketplace type of people that will put little ads out there and say that they can't use their tickets and they want to ensure that it's going to a Packer fan. They will only sell to local fans, and I love that. It's having pride in your team and doing what you can to make sure that, for lack of a better term, you got asses in the seats, man. That's what our job to do as fans is, man. Because really, that's all we can do is support this team to the best of our abilities. So, you're not going to make everybody happy. I'm sorry for, Karen here. Christine here with her chat. And, I think Mark Murphy handled it like a true boss and, told the truth. So, yeah. I'm all for it, man. Fan better. I'm not going to judge you on how you fan. You want to scream at your TV and complain all the time. That's your prerogative. But I'd personally rather see you step it up and, be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all, again, that's the whole point here is, let's stop turning on each other and let's try to fix the problem. Just calling each other out, sitting on your couch, eating Cheetos and getting on Twitter and going, these idiots, they give up all their seats. Why ain't you there, bro? Why aren't you there? Okay, then shut up. It's that simple. And again, that's why I've never complained because I can't make a whole lot of games. I try to make one a year because where I live and with the schedule and everything. That's why you don't hear me going, I can't believe they sold these seats. It's like other Packer fans can buy them up. So I do love the fact that there were several people that took the initiative too, Tim. I remember seeing this last year going, hey, on Twitter, I've got 2 tickets going to the highest bidder. I want to give it to a Packer fan, that type of thing. That's probably the home run, but not everyone is going to approach it that way. And like you said, man, it's a free country. At least it still is at this point. But you got to be able to allow people to get as much money as they can for something that they've invested in. That's just the way it is. The true way to fix this problem is to not allow fans to scalp tickets. And it's not an option, it not under our Constitution and how everything operates. If you were to do that, it would be an absolute madhouse. There would be so much uproar and so many problems that would create. Now, I would have no doubt whatsoever that Packer fans would fill those seats, because that's just, we've got an awesome fan base. We would figure that out somehow, some way. It's just, like you said, I love how Murphy handled this. And again, I wasn't going to get back into this topic because it's a very touchy one because we defended Milwaukee fans and just fans in general. I think the comment that really ticked the person off was when Tim said, and he actually specifically said this in email, but Tim said, Bub, move to Russia. I don't know what to tell you. That was when it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm never listening to this show again. One thing you're going to get about, hey, we may have 3 viewers in here, but we're going to tell you what's on our mind. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. And I promise you, we'll go ahead and give you the disclaimer. We're going to be wrong on stuff. I tell people this all the time. I'm married. I've been married now for, since 2006. Me and Mandy been together for 25 years, quarter century coming up here. I'm wrong all the time. You don't believe me? Ask her.
You can be right or you can be married.
Exactly. So anyway, just want to kind of hit on that because it was a topic that got kind of heated before, and I love how Murphy handled it. Chris in the chat says we got Packer fans that want to get a discount because they're Packer fans and not understand that those tickets will go to the highest bidder. I think that's pretty well said. And again, the reason the tickets are so expensive is because it's so popular. We got a popular team. It's really that simple. So,
right.
And again, I've seen some people say, I can't make it to a game this year, but I completely understand that. Nobody's dogging you. All we're asking is don't dog the people that are having to sell their tickets. Because if anybody should understand, you're not at the game. There's a reason you couldn't make it to the game. Maybe you got kids. Maybe you got, a job that won't allow you to get up there in time and back, from the game. But all we're asking is give each other that same equal amount of grace, to where we're not constantly judging each other on whether, how we sold our tickets, where our tickets went to, or you at the game, they're not loud enough. I don't know, man. Like you said, it sounds cheesy, but I really mean it when I say that when we sign off. Be the change you want to see in the world. If something bothers you about anything, whether it's our football team or just life in general, step back and go, how can I change that? How can I be the change in that situation, right? Most of the time for me, it's just being nicer to people. It's really that simple. Like, if I go out in public and that dude was an a-hole, I want to hit him right in the mouth. I have to step back and go, all right, who have I encouraged today?
Right.
Let me start with that before I start judging someone else, I guess.
And you're going to get out of this world what you put into it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're throwing a lot of punches, you're going to get a lot of punches.
All right. Yeah. And I do want to give a shout out to everybody in here, man. We got 41 people watching on Rumble. We got a bunch in Twitter. I think 147 in Twitter. Nice. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on this Sunday morning, man. And again, it's really, to me, it's good news with what we broke down with the young Georgia players that are on this roster. And you're I don't want to say you're creating a pipeline like college recruiting, but you're definitely creating that camaraderie in the locker room because these guys have played at the same school. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of dive into that.
That was awesome, Clayton. I love that stuff. The only thing that changed for them guys is the colors. They still got the G on the helmet.
Right.
I love it.
Exactly. And they all seem so excited. Go back and watch Javon Bullard's draft day reaction.
Fired up.
I'm an effing Packer. We played it live on the air here, and I didn't realize he said I'm an effing Packer. I thought he said I'm a Packer backer, and then I listened to it back and I went, "Oh, I hope there wasn't no kids in the cars. I'm sorry, I didn't realize he dropped the F-bomb."
Just the exuberant excitement of not being drafted by the Bears. I think that's what really took over for him.
Absolutely, yeah. And golly, can anyone blame him? All right, so as we wrap up here, just to get a quick look at the remaining schedule of OTAs. Obviously, we've already went May 20th through 23rd. We've now went May 28th through May 31st. The next one is going to be June 3rd, 4th, and 6th with OTAs. That's tomorrow. So the guys will be back in the building. We may get one last little view before they break again and come back on June 11th. So we may get a little bit of locker room talk. We may get some interviews, some practice footage, all that stuff. So we're going to soak that up as we kind of get closer to training camp. So again, tomorrow, OTAs again, 3rd, 4th, and 6th. And then they're going to wrap up the off-season program with mandatory minicamp June 11th through 13th. Then they'll break and then come back to training camp. And like I said, Jacob found this earlier, which will begin July 22nd. So we're getting closer, guys. We're getting closer. I'm excited about it. So we got a lot to cover. What's crazy, Tim, we got a lot to get done before training camp starts. And that's a pretty good sign that we've kind of crushed the off-season content because we're going to continue. We're going to pick back up at Week 10 this evening unless some kind of crazy topic or news breaks. We'll be breaking down the Week 10 matchup. I don't even know who they played in Week 10, but we'll have that info for you. We'll kind of go through the highlights and see, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? We'll get through the rest of last season, and like I said, we'll hit pause when we got OTA stuff to talk about, and then we'll pick it right back up. What's probably going to happen is we're going to get all the way through the Rewind series, and we're going to look up, and it's going to be mid-June. We'll dive back into the history a touch, and then training camp will be here. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man, for sure. You got anything else, Tim, before we wrap up?
No, just excited, man. We're getting close. It's, the season really never ends. It's something I've learned these last couple of years, really diving into the game and learning more about football is, it's just like Jake Shavink, it's always draft season. That's such a great point because it's true. There are moving pieces all of the time. There's always something to look at. The average fan, it's probably, slow time of the year for them. But, guys like us, we're diving into tape where, we want to learn more about this team. We want to see this team, the formulation of this team. We're going to see guys that maybe we thought were going to be higher up on the list. Maybe they're further down than we thought. And maybe some guys that we were sleeping on are going to make their rise and, find their way in the starting lineup on this team. So this is the time of year that all these things are happening. one of the things I did want to say, Clayton, is in that the dates there for when training camp starts and you've got the veterans don't have to report until 24 hours before the first day of camp or whatever. I am willing to bet you a lot of these veterans are going to be here early with the rookies. I just have a feeling that we're going to see some of those big name veteran leaders here because, I keep harping on this because it's true. Preston Smith talked about it since last year, that championship offseason. Well, I think a lot of these guys have had a championship offseason. We've seen some of the tape on Tay Wicks and Jaden Reed putting in work, Jordan Love putting in work. I'm sure we don't need to see tape on it, but I know Rashawn Gary's been putting in work. So I truly believe they're going to carry that intensity and that mindset into, through OTAs, into minicamp, into training camp. So I don't think for a second that we're going to see these veterans just strolling in the day before camp kicks off. I think these guys are dead serious and they're going to be here early. And, it's a lot of the intangibles, building that camaraderie, building that brotherhood and that bond with your teammates. So you're willing to go to war for that guy next to you every day. And that comes with just being there, right? Yep. It's a lot of what we can do in life is just show up. Showing up is half the battle.
It really is,
just be there. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm willing to bet we'll see some veterans early for training camp. So lots to look forward to.
Yeah, I agree, man. The culture is at an all-time high, but like under the Matt LaFleur, regime here. So I'm really excited to see how they all gel together and get that timing down and everything. M. Smith 13 in the chat say, Clayton, what are you doing admitting you aren't right 100% of the time? Winky emoji. Because Mandy may be watching. You never know, man. I just gotta,
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
May need a doctor if I don't admit to being wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bad husband. I'll just leave it at that. But all right, we're out of here, guys. We'll probably be back if the schedule will permit. I don't want to promise, but we'll definitely be back tonight for PTA Live, 100%. But there's a chance I could do another college football podcast midday this afternoon. Everybody's loving that series, that show, so we're going to keep that cranked up. I'd like to be able to do at least 2 of those a week, do them on the weekend when I have some extra time. And then during the week, we're going to keep that daily PTA Live going. So hopefully if I can carve out some time this afternoon, we'll do another college football podcast. But with that being said, really appreciate everyone. Give a shout out to our Patreon group, everybody in the PTA posse over there. We're going to be doing the giveaway. I think we're going to do it tomorrow evening. We're going to give away an autographed Brett Favre playing picture that was donated by Mr. Larry. Appreciate him. And so anyone who is a member of one of the 3 tiers in our Patreon group, what we're going to do is put everybody's name on a wheel, spin it live on the air, and give away that autographed picture. Then we got some other stuff we're giving away too here real soon. So if you guys want to support the channel and put yourself in a position to win some of those cool pieces of memorabilia, just feel free to join the Patreon group. Again, if you click on the link in the video description, it'll send you to patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. So it's one word all the way across, Packer Fan Total Access. And we'll make sure we get your name on that wheel tomorrow. So we'll have to do the cutoff by, say, midnight tonight. So get your name in there so we can get you into that contest for sure. So, again, really appreciate everybody supporting the show. You guys and gals have been awesome. Rumble's blowing up. We're almost to 100 subs, which is really cool. I think they call them followers on there, so that's exciting. We'll be back on YouTube in a couple of days. But there's going to be times, guys, I'm just going to be real honest. There's going to be times that they won't tell us what we are and are not allowed to do specifically. They won't even say, here's where you went wrong. They just list this big, vague policy that we supposedly broke. So if there's a chance that we're doing anything other than what we did today, as far as just talking about topics and doing little screenshot overlays or whatever, if there's a chance it could trigger any kind of copyright where they could vaguely try to punish us, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the show on YouTube. Hey, guys, welcome to Packers Total Access. All right, cool. We want to honor the policy with YouTube. So everybody hop over to Rumble, and we'll continue the show, and I'll just end the stream right there on YouTube. That's the only way I know to do it because, again, it's one of the worst customer service organizations I've ever experienced, and I'm a business owner. We own 4 different businesses right now. I have never seen anybody operate the way they operate. I mean, so –
we have no problem playing by the rules. We would just like to know what they are
Right.
That's all it is.
And we did nothing different than we did the last 2 years. And all of a sudden now it's a problem. As soon as we get two knuckleheads in the chat and they reported the channel. So it's like, and there's another prominent podcast group that reported the channel too, which I got wind of that. That was interesting. So, but anyway, that's what happens, man. That's what happens. So not everyone are as nice as they lead on when it says we're all about the Packer fans. We want to help Packer fans. So, but it's all good. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you possibly this afternoon, definitely tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Help me out here, Tim.
For those of you listening on the pod.
In honor of Jacob. We're going to get Jacob's mic straight now. We don't know what happened. That's the other thing too, man. You just randomly jump up.
He's on it already. Jacob's taking care of it right now as we speak.
That's what he hopped off for. Guarantee it. He is a perfectionist, man. Jacob is. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, so for those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.